How to emotionally let go of an ex or a crush. Hi guys, my name is Christine and I'm a dating, relationship and personal development coach. Today I'm talking about how to emotionally start letting go of an ex or a crush. So this is typically for those people that are really struggling, that maybe even be obsessing a little bit over an ex or over a crush. And you're wanting to know how to let go of this person. How can you start moving on? Because basically you're just sick of not moving on. You're sick of still pining after them. And it may be the case that you've been feeling this way for years, or it could be the case that it's just been a few months. But typically it's been a long time and you are really struggling with letting go. So this video is for you. So the first thing that I want you to consider is an identity change. Okay, and what I mean by this is at the moment you're probably saying things to yourself like, I'm not over my ex, or I'm not over my crush. And basically we want to change that identity to someone who is over their ex, who is over their crush. And basically what you do is you kind of ask yourself, what would someone who is over their ex do? Or if it's a crush, you would say, what is something that someone who is over their crush would do? You know, what would this kind of person think? What would their activities be like? What would they be, feeling, believing about themselves and things like that? So obviously, if you've been following my channel for a long time, let's say you've watched a lot of my videos on the no contact rule and how to get an ex back or how to get your crush to like you back and things like that. Obviously, someone who is over their ex or over their crush wouldn't be watching videos like those. You would be watching someone who's over their crush, who is looking to find someone new, someone who's over their ex, looking for that new relationship, would be looking up videos on dating tips, would be looking up videos on, perhaps, other things in their life, like how to start a business or how to turn that hobby that you've always loved into a business. They would be focusing on other things. They wouldn't be firstly watching videos about how to get your ex back. They wouldn't be watching videos about the no contact rule. So you kind of need to start thinking how a person who is over their ex, who is over their crush, would behave, and then start acting accordingly to that. So one of the things that you can start doing is stop watching videos on the no contact rule and how to get your ex back or how to get your crush to like you back. Or even videos on how to get over your crush and things like that. You need to start watching videos and content that is completely the opposite to people that are not over their crushes and exes and things like that. So that's just something to start considering. What if someone was over this relationship, this ex or this crush, what would they be doing? How would they be behaving? What content would they consume? What would they be thinking about? What would they be believing about themselves? And just start doing what you think that kind of person would be doing. If you're enjoying the video so far, then please leave a like on it and please do subscribe if you haven't done so already. And if there's anything you'd like me to discuss in a future video, then please let me know down in the comments. Or if you have any tips and advice yourself, thank you so much. So another thing that's a really good way to start getting over someone is if you actually start, focusing on different areas of your life and then that be your primary focus. Because you might be busy at school and then when you come home, that's when you start thinking about your ex or thinking about your crush. That's when you spend most of your time doing those kinds of things, diving into those thought habits or habits like checking your phone, checking the last time they're online, or you might be just, thinking about them in your head. So that might be the time when you do that. But when you're busy, you don't have time to do that kind of thing. Like you probably have moments in the day where you're totally focused on something and you don't think about your ex or you don't think about that crush. So the idea is to basically create as much of a full life as possible. Have activities that you can do when you finished work or you finished school. So that might be going to the gym, it might be the fact that you start a side business, or perhaps you have a FaceTime with your friends or a Zoom call with your friends or something. Have other activities that you do during your free time. And the same goes obviously also for the weekend. Obviously a lot of people have a lot of time on their hands on the weekend or whatever days you have off. And if you have a full schedule and you're doing lots of different things, especially things that are really good for you, so that could be like working on a side hustle, it could be, studying really hard for exams, it could be going to the gym and taking care of your body, or it could be all of those things. There's lots of things that you are naturally curious about that you could be doing. So basically identify what those areas are for you. What are you naturally interested in? What are you naturally curious about? And follow that curiosity. And it might be the case that you're not 100% sure what you want to do right now. It might be the case that you're not sure on, things that you're curious about and things that you like. So basically, just keep an open mind and kind of look for things that may jump out at you. So you could be reading a newspaper one day, or you could be scrolling through social media and something pops up like an ad, and you think, oh, that looks kind of interesting, I want to look into that. And then just follow that. It might not lead anywhere, but it could lead to a new hobby. It could lead to, a new insight or just some new interest. And obviously sign up for groups as well. Sign up for like different activities in your area. Do all those kinds of things. Start getting out there and moving forward with your life. Because if you are just spending your evenings alone and you're stewing over your ex or your crush, then of course you're going to stay stuck. You're going to stay emotionally stuck. So start creating a life that you're happy with, start designing a lifestyle that you're happy with, and dive into those areas that are really important to you, and start enjoying your single life for a little bit, because obviously you don't want to go straight into a new relationship, because obviously a good way obviously is to get over someone, is to find someone new and to go into a new relationship. But it's probably best to just leave it a while before you do start doing something like that, because at the moment your emotions are still pretty high about your ex or this crush. And if your emotions are still high about this crush, and you're going to enter a rebound relationship, and rebound relationships are really, really tricky and they rarely work out. So do give yourself some time to heal, to focus on other things that isn't related to your romantic life. And then that's when you feel like your emotions have simmered down a bit and you feel emotionally ready. And basically the way that you're emotionally ready is if your emotions aren't as high anymore, like what they might be at this current moment. And that's when you can start dating new people, and that's when you can, start entering a new relationship. I highly recommend that you watch this video on mastering yourself and basically how to enjoy being alone single. So it might be the case that you have a lot of, maybe a lot of painful memories that you keep on thinking about. And if you do have a lot of repetitive memories that you keep on thinking about, this could be like pivotal moments where you thought you could have changed something. It could have been just, emotional things that may have led to the breakup, or it could have been, if it's a crush, it could be you thinking about those times where you may have like embarrassed yourself, or you feel like you could have done something different to make that crush like you more and things like that. And basically if you're obsessing over these kinds of memories in your mind, there is a way you can kind of mess with these memories and these emotions, because one of my the most famous life coach in the world, Tony Robbins, talks about like pattern interrupts, and basically if you can mess with memories and interrupting those memories. And basically how he does this is that he tells you to like visualize that memory and then kind of mess with the way that it looks. So one of these things might be, imagining that your ex or this crush looks really, really ridiculous. And this is something that I did when I went on a date with someone, and then she later didn't want to continue going on dates with me. And that kind of hurt, because I did actually thought she was really nice and I did want to continue dating her. But she wasn't really interested, and it felt really bad. Even at that time, I knew a lot about what I teach already back then, but it still hurt. I'm not saying that these experiences don't hurt, because they do. If you get rejected, or if someone doesn't want to continue dating you and you thought they were really good, it does suck. So don't hide the fact that it hurts, because it does. But one of the things that I did was I imagined her to have like really big, like Mickey Mouse size ears and buck teeth. And I just made the memory go like really, really fast, and like kind of like sped up what it looked like. And while I did this, I listened to the song Flight of the Bumblebee. So it made the memory look really stupid and funny, and it made her look kind of stupid and funny. And because it added that kind of like little bit of ridicule to it, I no longer looked back at that memory with the same way again. Like whenever I think about that memory, whenever it crops up, or whenever I'm just sort of, it just kind of comes into my mind for whatever reason, because sometimes these kind of thoughts just drop in sometimes. I can't look at that memory the same way again now, because I've messed with it so much and made it look so funny. Another thing that you can do as well is, if you have some really intense memories, it's probably because when you think about those memories, you make it like look really vibrant, and it's probably like really, really close. If you kind of imagine it like you have like a theater in your mind, and when you play your memories back, basically when you're thinking, you can make some images really, really big. So if you can kind of like look back on those memories, and then what you do is you make those memories like really small, as if they're like kind of like fading off into the distance. And also you can mess with the color as well, like you can make them black and white. And when you like change these kind of little things about your memories, and you think about them in that kind of way, as opposed to big, bright, and in your face, they become less intense. So just right now, for example, think of a memory regarding your crush or your ex, whoever it is, right? This person who you're trying to get over. Make sure it's a powerful one. Make sure it's one that you kind of, doesn't make you feel that good. One that you probably typically, think back on a lot. And when you're, just sitting there thinking about that memory, just see if you can, just imagine like there's like blackness around that memory, and then make it go really, really, really small and really, really far away until it like kind of like fades off into the distance. And that should make it feel less intense. However, that you can also use my method. My favorite method is obviously making the memory look kind of ridiculous. Making the person in my memory look really weird and kind of ridicule and stuff like that. And this is something that I kind of learned when I was really, really young. Even though Tony Robbins kind of brought it back to my attention. But this is something that I used to do when I was little. I remember when I was I was in year 1. So in year 1 in the UK, that's roughly around about 5, 6, 7, kind of like around those ages. And there was this girl in my class who was kind of a bit of a bully to me. Like, she wasn't really nice. Like, she wasn't like a big bully, but I just remember that she didn't talk to me in a very nice way, and I didn't really like her that much. And I remember, sitting in class one day and just imagining her with like a really big puffy hair and looking really stupid. And I didn't look at her the same way again. Like, I didn't care about her as much anymore, because in my head she felt really stupid to me, even though she wasn't. And of course, she's probably a lovely human being now. She was just a kid who I didn't like at that time. Just because you're ridiculing someone in your head doesn't mean that you actually start ridiculing them, basically. It's just to help you feel better about those memories and about those situations. And basically that can really, really help. And that's what's helped me. And that was something that I learned from Tony Robbins' work. So the last thing that I want to talk about is something that can stop someone from moving on is not being able to, it's basically living in hope that they're going to come back. Or if it's a crush, it might be living in hope that they're going to change their mind about you and they're going to fall in love with you one day. But it's best to assume that if this is an ex, that they're never coming back, right? It's best to assume with a crush that they're never going to like you back, right? It's best to start assuming that. And if this is someone that you're hoping, like an ex that you want to change, like perhaps you broke up with the ex and you are hoping that they're going to change and come to their senses, it's best to assume in that kind of situation that they're always going to be the same and that they're never going to change. And that's like a good tip for when you start dating people as well. Allow that, just assume that whoever you're dating is never going to change and they're always going to be that person. This was something that I definitely did when I started dating my wife, and now obviously we're married. I assume that she's always going to be the way that she's going to be. Obviously there are going to be a few changes that will happen in our lives together, but I'm assuming that she's just going to be how she's always going to be, and that allows you to love much more freely and not put expectations on those people, because you can't control, like I can't control what my wife says and what my wife does. She is always going to be who she is, right? And when we feel like we can change them, when we feel like we can manipulate them to improve themselves and things, or whatever it may be, it's best not to assume those kinds of things, because it stops you from moving on and actually loving that person authentically. You should love in such a way that that person can be who they are, right? So you need to start assuming that your ex is not going to come back, that crush is never going to like you back. And when you start assuming that, that's when you're going to start moving on with your life, because you just realize, you know what, this person's not going to change. This person is probably not going to start having feelings for me. And when you start coming to that conclusion, you'll start to feel a little bit better about the situation, especially if it's accompanied by the other things that I have suggested and you are doing those things, okay? I think a lot of what it is that sometimes it comes down to fear. It might be fear that you're never going to find anyone as good looking as your ex, or as treat you as well as what your ex did, or it could be the fact that you don't think you're ever going to find anyone as good looking as your crush. You know, we all have like this worry that we're never going to find anyone, right? Especially when you are single and you really do want a relationship. We do have these worries like, oh my God, am I ever going to find anyone as good as this person? And the truth is you will if you believe that, right? So when you start believing that, you know, there's an abundance of people out there that you can date, you have a lot of options, then, you know, that's when you're going to start feeling a lot better. You need to have that abundance mindset, and that, you know, you can and will find someone better than your ex. You will find someone better than the person that you have a crush on currently. It is entirely possible for you. And, you know, you can even use that as a motivation. Like, wow, you know what? I'm going to find someone who is way better looking and way better for me than my ex. Or you could use that same kind of mindset towards the way that you feel about your crush. Like, I'm going to find someone who is better looking and more healthy, with a healthier mindset and better for me than my crush. And kind of use that as your motivation moving forward. Obviously accompanied with, again, like all the other things that I've suggested. So I hope this video has helped you. Thank you so much for watching. If you would like coaching with me, then please go to www.christineloveridge.com. Thank you so much for watching, and I shall talk to you again very soon. Bye, guys.